Crocodylomorphs. Welcome guys once again to the channel, Ranking with Dinosaurs, where, you guessed it, we rank dinosaurs. But we're making another exception of the rule. Yes, this is becoming the norm now for the channel. The channel is called Ranking with Dinosaurs, and we rank whatever it is that is not a dinosaur. But, you know, the exception today, though, it's pretty cool, in my opinion. And I think one of you guys also suggested it, but to be honest, I was thinking of making this video. Crocodylomorphs and alikes. I say alikes because not all of these animals are going to be crocodiles by themselves, although I think none of these guys are crocodiles. But crocodile adjacent, or at least superficially resemble crocodiles. So this is going to be a fun video. Again, it's going to be my own opinion. Make sure to leave in the comments what is going to be your tier list by the end of the video. So, I'm going to be starting with DEINOSUCHUS. Now, we're going to be starting the video with DEINOSUCHUS. So, DEINOSUCHUS is, right now, today, it's still fairly, incomplete and not well known. Like, the knowledge remains, a little spotty here and there, but much recent remains help a little bit with our understanding. But this guy is either an alligatoid, or how I like to say alligotoroid, or a stem group crocodilian from the late Cretaceous. And again, this DEINOSUCHUS, I believe, and I think believe by all you guys watching this video, is one of those classic prehistoric crocodiles or crocodile likes that we all know about. I mean, it's their body shape, like their overall form or appearance, is very similar to today's, crocodiles and alligators. And, their big crushing teeth and their I can't believe what it's called, hemispherical, scutes or osteoderms on their backs. And yeah, they kind of look like oversized crocodiles or alligators. They lived in what is today North America, although there are some remains from other parts of the world that might suggest they might live there, but that is probably still very, very early to know about. But they did live in both sides of the Western Interior Seaway, and yes, that is the interior sea that was in the United States or North America back in the Cretaceous. And yes, you heard it right, back in the late Cretaceous. So DEINOSUCHUS did indeed live with dinosaurs, and yes, it did eat them. This thing was eating dinosaurs. That's all you have to know about how cool DEINOSUCHUS is. Probably ate also sea turtles and other marine and terrestrial prey, probably very large prey, because this guy measured around, the measurements that we can make or assume now are at least max 35 feet. That is big. Believe DEINOSUCHUS to be a pretty solid A tier. ARMADILLOSUCHUS. Now, moving on to the late Campanian, early Maastrichtian. So yes, still the Mesozoic. This is a large and robust sphagosaurid. Make what you want. Make your mind of what that means. But I'll just say sphagosaurids are crocodylomorphs or crocodilians that have they're terrestrial, first of all, and they have very mammal-like teeth. So these are heterodont teeth. These guys are found in Brazil, and these teeth suggest that they might have eaten some invertebrates, plants, and probably scavenged meat as well. So an omnivorous little crocodilian, terrestrial crocodilian. Pretty cool, I might add. And it is also suggested that this guy may be capable of burrowing, having a burrowing lifestyle. They had very well developed forelimbs, which might have helped with regulating their temperature. Gotta remember, these guys are still crocodilians, so they still had to find a way to regulate their temperatures. What else about ARMADILLOSUCHUS? Oh, well, yeah, they're called ARMADILLOSUCHUS because they had a hexagonal shield that looked kind of like an armadillo, honestly. Like the actual fossils look like armadillos. They had like even the bands that armadillos have. So I don't know if they could like roll up or somewhat roll up, but I wouldn't get it out of the possibilities. But yeah, also they probably were under the skin. This like type of shield, because usually crocodilians and this family in general, um, their or their skin is most definitely covering all those osteoderms. So Armadillosuchus, pretty cool little guy. I'm gonna say B tier for now. I like it. KAPROSUCHUS. Now this is one of the craziest looking crocodylomorphs ever discovered, in my opinion. This is the boar croc. Now, what is it called boar croc? Well, this is a Mahajungasuchus from Niger, and Mahajungasuchus means it's related to Mahajungasuchus from, I think it's from Madagascar. That's what where the Mahajunga means. Also where Majungasaurus takes its name from. But yeah, this guy's had unusually long canadiform teeth. So this teeth you see right here, yes, I have a KAPROSUCHUS figure right here. Those teeth are insanely long, and they resemble tusks of boars. And sadly, this guy it can't close its mouth. But when it closes its mouth, the teeth all actually protrude from the sides, kind of like a boar as well. So I believe that's pretty neat. This guy is known from a pretty complete skull, so we have a pretty good understanding of the head morphology. It had, again, those big teeth. It had two horns coming from the back of the head, which are, I don't know, kind of strange. Yep, those would be represented right here. And this guy was thought to be, again, terrestrial because of the position of the eyes. And I think it was, the shape and the position of the eyes. And I can't remember what was the other thing. But their limbs also are still relatively unknown. And let me know if I'm wrong about that. But like more recently, because we've classified it as a Mahajungasuchus, we do know that Mahajungasuchus has some affinities towards a semi-aquatic lifestyle. So KAPROSUCHUS might have had a semi-aquatic lifestyle. That's going to be for KAPROSUCHUS. Also, this guy shows up in a pretty cool show called Primeval. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments if you know. But yeah, KAPROSUCHUS, I like it a lot. It's going to be an A tier. RUTIODON. Now, we're moving on. We're going a little bit back in time to the late Triassic in the US, and with RUTIODON. So this guy is a phytosaur. Now, these guys were thought to be related to crocodilians or pseudoscians, like one of the most basal-most members. But, it turns out, I believe the consensus right now is that they were split right before in Archosauria, like right before dinosaurs and other crocodylomorphs. So it is still a little bit debated, but for now, I'll just treat them as not crocodilians. But again, they are very similar to crocodiles because, again, crocodiles, this is the first example, is the superior body plan. This is the peak male body. That's what basically the crocodile shape is. But yeah, these guys, while they do resemble crocodiles, they have their nostrils actually are far back in the head, like right about here, instead of the tip of the snout. And they have enlarged front teeth, and they had a very narrow jaw, so very laterally compressed, which makes me think this is the best way to describe RUTIODON or Phytosaurs. It's the mix of a Spinosaurus, or Spinosaurid, a river dolphin, and a gharial. Like the video if you agree with me. But yeah, these guys, again, because their jaws have that particular shape, they were probably piscivorous, so they eat a lot, mostly fish. They had a body, their bony armor of plates covering their backs, tail, and flanks. And yeah, these guys are actually very well known. They have a large number of skulls have been found, postcranial remains. So it is one of the probably the best well-described phytosaur in general. So, again, these guys have a convergence with crocodiles. And I believe they are really cool, and I'm going to put them in A tier. QUINKANA. Now, this is a Mekosuchus from Australia that lived as recent as 10,000 years ago. So, pretty recent. This might still be roaming the wilderness of Australia, but, I doubt it. It's pretty much confirmed dead by this point. And there's 4 species recognized of QUINKANA. Now, this guy is primarily known because it has Cyphodon teeth. Now, what are these teeth like? Well, its main characteristics are they were recurved, flattened, and serrated. Now, they were extremely blade-like, which is completely opposite to regular crocodylomorph or crocodilian teeth, which are much more conical and non-serrated at all. So, this makes the question of, was this guy a terrestrial animal? Was this thing galloping the wilderness of Australia again? We don't know yet. We actually don't know if it was fully terrestrial or if it was a semi-aquatic animal. But yes, also one of the other main characteristics is that its skull was was altirostral, so which means it wasn't flat. It was much more taller, and it was much more deeper than other crocodilians. But yes, QUINKANA. We don't know still what its role was in its environment, because it's definitely not an apex predator, even though it's a 10 feet, 450-pound animal, because it's pretty rare. Their fossils are pretty rare compared to other predators from its area. For example, the marsupial Thylacoleo, it's much more abundant. So we had to assume this guy had a different niche in its environment. So QUINKANA, I like it. It's nothing too crazy. I'm gonna put in C tier though. I don't hate it. SIMOSUCHUS. Now, if you've heard SIMOSUCHUS before, if you've seen it somewhere, it's probably Prehistoric Planet, where it was unveiled to the world the amazingness of SIMOSUCHUS. Now, this is a small notosuchian from late Maastrichtian, so end of the Cretaceous, of Madagascar. Yes, it had to live in a pretty crazy place at the moment. This guy's less than a meter long and had a really weird skull. It was very short, and it had housed some, let me say this correctly, maple-leafed shaped teeth, which is weird. Well, first of all, maple-shaped leaf teeth. What the heck? Which suggests that it had an herbivorous, mostly, probably entirely herbivorous diet. Which, again, let's just get into your brain. A herbivorous crocodilian. What? I know we've seen crazier things, but I don't know. Just seeing a small little croc eating leaves, we could today, in today's day and age, we would definitely find a way to adopt and to domesticate SIMOSUCHUS 100%, and I would advocate for that. But yeah, this guy's had a pug-like face, which I think that's what the name means actually. But their actual skulls as well, this is something I learned, is that they vary between specimens, vary a lot between specimens. So this might suggest sexual dimorphism, not 100%, but it does suggest that it is proposed that it could be a sign of that. And it is proposed as well that it had a burrowing lifestyle, it had a very robust forelimbs, and a short snout. And it was also pretty small, so that would help to that theory that, of a much more burrowing lifestyle. I don't know if gregariousness could be a thing, but that's what, for example, Prehistoric Planet proposes or shows. So we don't know yet. I like to think they do. But yeah, I mean, SIMOSUCHUS, very, very cute animal, honestly. Their osteoderms kind of look in their fossils, the way they're displayed, they look like they have a little armor on top. It's adorable. SIMOSUCHUS is going to be an S tier. S tier for SIMOSUCHUS. Purosaurus. Now, if we're talking about big crocs, this is where it's at. Purosaurus, a giant South American caiman from the Miocene. Again, this is the Cenozoic we're talking about. No dinosaurs involved. This guy was just big for the sake of being big. Like, it didn't have to, compete with big ass dinosaurs. It just wanted to munch on everything and didn't want any sort of competition. And like their largest estimation for their sizes is 34 feet, which rivals DEINOSUCHUS. So it could be that they got bigger, or they could also get smaller. But if they could get as big as DEINOSUCHUS, that's insane. It is only known from skulls, so again, this is just a guesstimation. But I trust the scientists, the paleontologists, that this could be one of the biggest animals, one of the biggest crocodilians ever. And their skulls, like, I just want to talk about their skulls. They are so big, and they're so like dense. Like, there's so much bone in those things. I couldn't find there's probably one out there, like a study that reveals the bite force of this thing, but I wouldn't want to be at the end of this jaws. Like, these jaws were made for large vertebrates. Like, they probably snapped and destroyed everything. Again, these guys were apex predators. Like, nothing less than that is possible for an animal this big. Again, it could be one of the heaviest as well. One of the heaviest crocodilians. But, again, in an age where being huge is not everything, it could have been also its downfall. For dropping temperatures and all of that, outcompeted, probably led to its downfall. So, I mean, Purosaurus, awesome animal. It's one of the coolest crocodilians. I think you know where I'm going. It's definitely S tier. SARCOSUCHUS. Now, we've come at the end of the tier list with one of the most famous crocodilians, or crocodile-likes animals ever. SARCOSUCHUS. This guy is from the early Cretaceous of Africa and South America. There are some remains from South America. And it is one of the largest pseudosuchians that we've discovered. Again, the largest species is SARCOSUCHUS imperator. And it measures 31 feet and weighs around 4 tons. So, up there with the big heavyweights of this video. SARCOSUCHUS had a long snout again, and their upper jaw was actually much longer than their lower one. And it actually, when it closed its mouth, as you can see it right here, it actually created a bit of an overbite, which is pretty peculiar for SARCOSUCHUS. It had something called a bulla or buya. I'm gonna say bulla. It is this big round tip to its snout, much larger than a gharial, for example. You've seen gharials with their little things on top of their nose, but no, this one's just all here. And again, it helped create that weird overbite that it had. I'd say it creates such a striking image for a crocodile-like animal. It's pretty awesome. By giving it a name, you would think that we know what it was used for, but we actually don't know yet what it was used for, which makes me think, I have 2 theories, is that they probably had snout or shoving matches where they just did like this, fought over whatever they were fighting for. Or they probably, they could, I don't know if this is proven already, wrong, but, they could have had a bunch of little sensors on their tip of the snout, so they could, detect prey across much longer distances. I don't know, that could be a thing. Again, I don't know if it's disproven already, and I'm just talking bullshit over here, but, I'm just putting my theories out there. They had this row of scutes that were uninterrupted along the back, and while it hunted big prey, because, this is a big boy, and it probably ate a lot of big prey. Again, this is early Cretaceous, so yes, dinosaurs were on the menu. It couldn't apply a certain technique that crocodilians use today, and that is the death roll, where they grab something by a leg or something, and they just start death rolling in the water to rip that part apart, that piece apart. Well, apparently Sarcosuchus wasn't built for that. So, poor Sarcosuchus. I want to say, do I want to put it in S tier? This is such a hard. I think I like it so much, though. You know what? This is my tier list. S tier for Sarcosuchus. And that is the tier list, guys. Again, this is going to be very different from your tier list, guys. So, you're going to let me know in the comments, please. How would you rate the tier list? Which would be your tier list? What is your favorite crocodile or crocodile-like animal that we discussed in the video? And if you want a part 2 with other crocodile likes, let me know in the comments too. Please like the video, helps a lot. Subscribe, it helps even more. And please, we are almost to 500 subscribers. Thank you so much again, guys. It's been crazy. Like, I made so many videos already, but I didn't think I would be having this much fun making these videos and coming up with these ideas and listening to you guys, reading your guys' comments. So, again, I want to thank you again. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video, guys.